The medical bay was silent. Machines made weak sounds, slow beeps that echoed in the empty room. The air smelled of metal and strange alien medicine. In the center of the cold room lay a young woman, pale and still. Her body was weak, her breath soft. Her eyes closed. She looked like someone who had already left the world, but she was still alive. Alien doctors stood around her, tall and thin, their eyes glowing faint blue. They spoke in a calm but empty voice. No hope remains. Her body is broken. Her spirit is fading. Their words cut the air like knives. They turned away, their hands moving over glowing screens. One of them whispered to another, "She will not last the night. Why waste time?" Another nodded. "Let her go. She is finished." They wrote her name on a small glowing tablet, a mark that meant abandoned. The doctors walked away, their footsteps fading into the long corridor. The machines kept their soft sound, but no one cared to watch. She was left alone, forgotten, left to die, but someone was still there. In the shadows of the room stood a human soldier, his armor scratched and worn. He had seen battles, he had seen death, but this moment felt heavier than any war. He stepped closer to her bed, his eyes full of fire. He looked at the pale girl and whispered, "No, you are not finished, not while I am here." He touched her cold hand. It was weak and shaking. Her fingers barely moved, but he felt life, a small spark. The soldier's heart tightened. He remembered Earth, far away, blue skies and green fields. He remembered the old words that every soldier carried inside. Never leave anyone behind. He clenched his jaw. If the doctors will not fight for you, then I will. The ship around him was massive, full of strange lights and long halls. But it was not a safe place. The aliens did not trust humans. They used them, tested them, sometimes discarded them. And now, this young woman was one of those discarded. He could not accept it. His breath grew heavy as he looked at the machines that kept her alive. Their glow was fading, their energy running low. Soon they would stop and she would fall into silence forever. He moved quickly, checking each machine. He did not understand alien technology, but his will was stronger than his fear. He touched her forehead, whispering, "Stay, just stay with me." Her breath was thin, but it was there. Her chest rose and fell like the softest wave on a dying shore. The soldier remembered the laughter of the alien crew when he argued with them. "She is nothing," they had said. "She will be gone by morning." They mocked his loyalty, they mocked his hope. But hope was the one thing humans never lost. He was ready to fight the whole ship if he had to. The medical bay lights flickered. The walls hummed, like the ship itself was alive. The soldier felt watched. Every step he took, every breath, it was like unseen eyes followed him. Still, he did not stop. He searched the cabinets, looking for medicine, anything that might help. Most drawers were empty, others locked with alien codes. But he kept trying, his hands shaking but determined. He returned to her side, his voice low but strong. "You are not alone. Not while I breathe." The girl did not answer, her eyes still closed. But he felt as if she could hear him. Deep inside her fading world, the ship's alarm sounded far away, a dull echo through the metal halls. He froze, listening. Perhaps the crew had noticed his actions. Perhaps they were coming. But his fear turned into resolve. He would not abandon her, not like they did. If he had to fight, he would fight. If he had to steal, he would steal. If he had to run, he would run. But he would not let her die. He placed both hands on the bed and leaned close. His voice was a promise, a vow that burned in his chest. "I will not let them take you. I will not let you fade. You will live because one human still believes." The medical bay was silent again, except for the weak beeping of the dying machines. Outside, footsteps echoed in the corridor, closer and closer. The soldier looked toward the door, his eyes full of fire. He was ready. The story of hope had just begun. The soldier sat beside the weak girl through the long night. The alien doctors had abandoned her. The crew had turned away. But he remained, His eyes burned with exhaustion, but his heart carried a fire stronger than sleep. He could not leave her side, not when her life hung by a single fragile thread. Each beep of the failing machine felt like a clock counting down her final seconds, and yet he refused to accept it. He remembered Earth, far away and shining in his memory. He remembered the old soldier's creed, words whispered before battle. Never leave anyone behind. Those words were more than tradition. They were a promise that gave humanity its strength. And now, he whispered them again to her, his voice firm though she could not hear. You are human. You are one of us. And as long as I breathe, I will not let you go. The alien crew thought him foolish. They laughed in the corridors, shaking their heads at his stubbornness. Why fight the impossible? They asked. She is already dead. But humans had always been strange to them. Humans carried hope even when logic said none remained, and this soldier was the living proof of that strange human spirit. He rose from his chair, determination filling his body. If he wanted to save her, he could not wait for miracles. He needed supplies. He needed medicine. He needed something the aliens would never give. So he began his dangerous journey into the forbidden halls of the ship. The corridors were long and full of shadows. Strange lights flickered on the walls, glowing symbols he could not read. Every step echoed, like the ship itself was alive and listening. He walked quickly, but his eyes moved everywhere. He knew the crew would punish him if they caught him stealing. But punishment did not matter. Her life was worth more. He entered the storage chambers, rows of glowing cases stacked high. Inside were vials, strange liquids, tools that hummed with energy. He did not understand them, but desperation gave him courage. He grabbed what he could carry, tucking the items into his worn armor. His hands shook as he worked, but his heart never wavered. A sound made him freeze. Footsteps echoed in the next corridor, slow and heavy. He pressed himself against the wall. Holding his breath, 2 alien crew members passed, their voices cold. She should already be gone by now, one said. Yes, the human soldier wastes his time, the other replied. The soldier clenched his fists, but stayed silent. He waited until they left, then hurried back to the medical bay. When he returned, she was still alive, but weaker than before. Her chest rose and fell like a candle flame about to die. He placed the stolen vials beside her bed, his mind racing. He did not know how to use them, but he would learn. He whispered, "Hold on, please, just hold on." His voice trembled, but his resolve was unbroken. He tried one vial, pressing the glowing liquid into the machine. The screen flickered. The beeping grew stronger. Her breathing eased only slightly, but enough to give him hope. For the first time in hours, he felt victory, small but powerful. He knelt beside her, his eyes burning with tears. "You are not alone," he said. "I promised, and I will not break that promise." The night stretched into morning, though no sunlight touched the cold metal ship. Still, he stayed awake, guarding her, watching the machines. He thought of Earth again, of the faces of those who had trusted him. He thought of battles lost and won, and he thought of this fragile life before him. She was not just another patient, she was proof that humanity never gave up. But the ship whispered with danger. Every corner seemed to hide eyes that watched him. The air carried tension, as if someone or something did not want her saved. He could feel it in the hum of the walls, in the flicker of the lights. The ship itself seemed to resist his efforts. But he whispered into the silence, "You can fight me. You can break me, but you cannot take her." He sat once more at her side, gripping her hand. It was still cold, but he felt a spark, a tiny movement of her fingers. Hope rushed through him, stronger than any battle cry. He leaned close and whispered, "I swear I will keep you alive, I will carry you through this darkness." His words were a vow, unshakable and eternal. Even if the whole ship turned against him, he would not falter. The alien doctors had given up. The crew had turned away. But one human had made a promise forged in the fire of loyalty and hope, and promises like that could move mountains. He looked at her pale face and smiled, tired but full of courage. "You are not gone," he said, "because I am still here. Outside, the echoes of the ship grew louder, shadows moving in the halls. Danger was closing in, but he did not fear it, because promises gave humans strength, and this was his promise. Her life would not be lost. Not today. Not while he still had breath. The soldier moved quietly through the endless corridors, his footsteps soft against the metal floor. He felt the ship around him breathing, alive in ways he could not explain. The walls hummed with strange power. The lights flickered as if they were watching him. Every step made him more certain that someone or something was following. He carried the stolen vials close to his chest, hidden beneath the scratched plates of his armor. Back in the medical bay, the girl still breathed, her life as fragile as a candle flame. He knew every minute away from her was a risk. Yet he needed more. He needed tools, knowledge, anything that could help him keep his promise. As he turned a corner, he froze. Shadows stretched across the wall, long and twisted, but when he looked, there was nothing there. His heart pounded. His training told him not to fear shadows, but this ship was no battlefield he had ever known. It was alive, and it did not want him here. He pressed forward, his hand resting on the grip of his old weapon. It was nearly useless against alien armor, but it gave him courage. The storage chamber ahead was dark, its door half open. He stepped inside, the air colder than before. Inside, rows of strange machines sat silent, their screens black, their shapes unfamiliar. As he moved between them, he heard it, a whisper, soft and sharp, like a voice crawling through the metal. He spun around, weapon raised, but there was no one, only silence and the faint hum of the ship. He swallowed hard, whispering to himself, "Focus, don't lose your mind." At the far end of the chamber, he found a locked cabinet. Its surface glowed faintly with alien runes. He touched it and felt a vibration like a pulse. He pulled at the edges, but it did not move. His frustration grew, but his will was stronger. He remembered the girl's face, pale and still, and forced the cabinet open with all his strength. Inside were more vials, shining brighter than the rest. One pulsed like liquid fire, another glowed blue like ice. He did not know their use, but instinct told him they were powerful. He reached for them, but the moment his hand touched the first vial, the shadows on the wall came alive. They stretched across the room, twisting and curling, forming shapes that looked almost human, but not. Their movements were wrong, jerky and broken. He stepped back, his weapon shaking in his hand. The shadows whispered again, louder this time. She must not live. His blood froze. He aimed his weapon at the shapes, his finger tight on the trigger. "Stay back," he warned, though his voice trembled. The shadows did not stop. They moved closer, surrounding him. The temperature dropped. His breath came out as mist. He fired, the sound exploding in the silent chamber. The flash of his weapon lit up the shadows, but the bullet passed through empty air. The shadows twisted, mocking him, closing in tighter. He clutched the vials against his chest and forced his way through them, running back toward the door. The corridors were darker now, the lights above flickering faster. The ship seemed to groan, as if it was alive and angry. His footsteps echoed louder, chased by whispers that grew sharper. He could feel the presence behind him, pressing closer, hungry to stop him. He burst into the medical bay, the door sliding shut behind him. For a moment, the whispers stopped. Only silence remained. He leaned against the wall, gasping for breath, sweat dripping down his face. The girl lay as before, weak but still alive. Her fragile breathing was the only sound in the room. He moved quickly, placing the new vials beside the machine. His hands trembled as he tried to connect them. The machine sparked, rejecting the strange energy, but he forced it to work. At last, one vial fused with the system and the beeping grew stronger. Her breath steadied just slightly. He sat beside her once more, his heart racing. He whispered, "I promised you and I will keep fighting." But his mind was haunted by what he had seen. The shadows were not tricks of the light. They were real, and they had spoken. They wanted her gone. The soldier knew then that her sickness was no accident. Someone or something had wanted her to die. The doctors had left her not because they failed, But because they were told to fail, the truth was beginning to form, dark and heavy. He leaned closer to her, gripping her hand. "You are in danger, more than either of us knows," he said softly. "But I swear, I will protect you." The ship hummed again, as if laughing at his vow. The lights dimmed for a moment, and he felt eyes on him, unseen but sharp. Still he did not back down. Hope was a human weapon stronger than any shadow. He looked at her pale face, her fragile body, and he smiled through his fear. "You will live," he whispered, "because I will not stop fighting." The medical bay fell into silence again, but the soldier knew the shadows were still out there, waiting. He had stolen time for her, but time was dangerous here. Every second was borrowed, and the enemy was no longer hidden. The real battle was only beginning. The girl's fragile body trembled as the machines around her flickered. The faint beeping slowed, each sound weaker. Then the last. The soldier stood at her side, his hands gripping the edge of the bed. He could see her slipping away, falling deeper into the cold darkness, and he felt helpless. The shadows he had fought in the corridor still haunted his mind, their whisper, "She must not live," echoing inside his skull. The alien doctors returned, their long steps sharp against the floor. They looked at the failing machine, then at the pale girl. Their glowing eyes carried no emotion. "It is time," one of them said coldly. "She will not survive, her body is too weak." They moved to turn off the machine, their hands reaching for the controls. The soldier stepped forward, his voice shaking but strong. "Stop," he ordered. His words rang through the medical bay, sharp as steel. The aliens looked at him with annoyance. "Why do you resist?" one asked. "This is mercy, she is already gone." "She is not gone," the soldier growled. "She still breathes, I can see it." He blocked the machine with his body, his eyes burning with fury. The aliens sighed, their faces unreadable. "Human stubbornness is illogical," they said. "You risk punishment, even death, for a life that cannot be saved." The soldier's jaw tightened. He remembered every battle he had fought, every comrade he had refused to leave behind. Humanity's strength was not in weapons or ships, but in loyalty, in refusing to surrender. He looked at them and said, with fire, "If you touch her, you will face me." For a moment the aliens hesitated. Their glowing eyes shifted, cold and calculating. Then one of them stepped back and whispered to the others, "Leave him, if he wants to waste his life. Let him." They turned and walked out, their footsteps fading down the corridor, but the soldier knew it was not mercy. It was something else, a cruel game. They wanted him to fail on his own, to watch hope break into despair. He turned back to the girl, his heart racing. The machine's beeping slowed further. The line on, the screen flattening. His breath caught in his chest. "No, not yet," he whispered. His hands shook as he grabbed the stolen vials. His mind raced with panic. He did not know which one could save her. The glowing liquids pulsed in different colors, red like fire, blue like ice, green like life itself. He had no time to think, no time to test. It was life or death now. His instinct screamed at him, guiding his hand toward the blue vial. He slammed it into the machine, the liquid rushing into the system. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the screen burst with light. The beeping returned, strong and steady. Her chest rose deeper, her breath pulling stronger into her lungs. Relief flooded his body. Tears filled his eyes. He gripped her hand tightly. "You are not leaving. Not tonight," he whispered. His voice cracked with emotion, but his relief was short. The door hissed open again, and alien guards stepped in, tall and armored, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. "You have broken our law," one of them said, their voice sharp like a blade. "You stole from the ship, you tampered with sacred equipment." The soldier stood tall, his weapon in his hand. Though it was small compared to theirs, he glanced at the girl, then back at the guards. His decision was clear. He would fight no matter the cost. The guards aimed their weapons, the air charged with power. The soldier's heart pounded. He raised his weapon, ready to defend her. The tension in the room grew heavy. every second stretching like an eternity. Then one guard spoke again. "Step aside, let her die, and you will live." The soldier's voice came like thunder. "No." His refusal shook even the silence of the bay. "She is human, I am human, and humans do not abandon their own." His eyes locked on theirs. Unshakable. His promise was stronger than fear, stronger than death. The guards exchanged glances, their glowing eyes flickering. Then slowly they lowered their weapons. "You are a fool," one hissed. "But a fool's end always comes." They turned and left the bay, the hiss of the door closing behind them. The soldier stood frozen, for a moment, his body shaking from the storm of tension. He turned back to the girl, her breathing steady now, but fragile. He sank into the chair beside her, exhausted but burning with resolve. He had defied the doctors, defied the guards, even defied the living shadows of the ship. And still, she breathed. But deep inside he knew the danger had only grown. The ship itself was against him. The crew was against him. Something greater was moving in the dark, pulling strings he could not yet see. Saving her once was not enough. He would have to fight again and again until the truth came to light. He leaned close to her, whispering, "You almost slipped away, but I pulled you back, and I will keep pulling you back every time until you open your eyes and speak again." His hand held hers, strong and steady. In his chest, the fire of his promise burned brighter. The battle had only begun, but he would not break. The medical bay was quiet, but the quiet was heavy, not peaceful. The soldier sat in the chair beside the girl, his eyes red from exhaustion. He had fought the doctors, defied the guards, and challenged the shadows that haunted the ship. Still, his promise kept him here. His hand rested on hers, never letting go. For hours he watched the steady rhythm of her breathing, counting each rise and fall of her chest, as if every breath was a small victory. The machines hummed, alive with stolen power. The blue vial he had forced into the system glowed faintly, spreading its energy through her body. Her face, though pale, carried a faint warmth now, and her lips moved with stronger breath. The soldier leaned close, whispering, "You are fighting. I can see it. Just a little more. Hold on." He closed, his eyes for a moment, his mind replaying the dangers that surrounded them. He could still hear the guard's words, "A fool's end always comes," and the shadows whispering, "She must not live." The weight of those voices pressed against him, but he refused to bend. He had faced death before, on battlefields filled with fire and blood. This was no different, except this time the battle was not for victory. It was for one fragile life. Suddenly, a sound broke his thoughts. It was soft, weaker than a whisper, but it froze him where he sat. He looked at her face, his heart racing, her eyelids trembled, flickering like a dreamer waking from a nightmare. His breath caught and he leaned closer. "Come on," he whispered. "You can do it. Open your eyes." Her eyes opened, just slightly, a faint glimmer of life shining within. The soldier's heart nearly broke with relief. He had waited so long, and now the miracle was here. She blinked slowly, her lips parting, and a weak voice escaped. "Why?" Her voice cracked, broken but alive. Tears filled his eyes. He pressed her hand between his palms and whispered back, "Because you are human, and humans never give up." His voice trembled, heavy with emotion. Her gaze, though weak, held confusion. "The doctors, they said, no hope," she breathed. Her words were fragile, but each one was a blade against the cruelty of the aliens. "They gave up on you," the soldier said, his tone sharp with anger. "But I never will. Not while I draw breath." Her lips curved, the faintest hint of a smile. "You stayed," she whispered. He nodded, his jaw tight. "I promised." But their moment of peace did not last. The lights above flickered. The hum of the ship grew louder, as if reacting to her awakening. The walls trembled faintly. The shadows along the floor stretched longer, The soldier's hand tightened on his weapon. He could feel the danger rising again, as though the ship itself rejected her life. The girl felt it too, her weak eyes shifting to the walls. Something. Watching, she whispered. He nodded grimly. I know. It doesn't want you alive. Her breath grew shaky, fear touching her voice. Why me? She asked. The soldier looked at her, his voice steady. That is what I must find out. But, for now all that matters is keeping you alive. He moved quickly to adjust the machine, ensuring the glowing vial kept flowing into her system. The girl coughed, weak but real, her body slowly adjusting to life again. Each cough was painful to hear, but it was proof she was not slipping away. He whispered encouragement. That's it. Keep fighting. Every breath is a victory. The door to the bay hissed open. The soldier jumped to his feet, weapon ready. 2 alien attendants stepped inside, their glowing eyes widening as they saw her awake. Impossible, one hissed. She lives. The other growled. This is not allowed. She must not survive. The soldier aimed his weapon at them, his voice cold. Take one more step and you'll regret it. The attendants hesitated, then retreated slowly, their eyes burning with hatred. The door closed again, but their words remained like poison in the air. The girl turned her gaze to him, her voice trembling. They want me dead. He nodded, sitting back beside her. Yes, but they won't have you, not while I stand. She closed her eyes, tears forming. Why risk everything? For me? He looked at her with fire in his eyes. Because you are. Human, and humanity never leaves its own to die. Her lips moved again, forming the faintest whisper. Thank you. The soldier's heart swelled. He had faced death many times, but never had 2 words meant so much. He smiled through his exhaustion. You don't need to thank me. Just live. That will be enough. The hum of the ship grew louder, shadows creeping once more at the edges of the room. The soldier knew this was only the beginning. Her awakening had triggered something dangerous, something the aliens feared. But as he looked into her fragile, living eyes, he felt stronger than ever. He leaned close, his voice steady. You are alive, and that changes everything. They wanted you gone, but you returned. And now? They will. Try harder to stop us, but let them try. I will never let them win. The girl gripped his hand weakly, but with purpose. A bond had been forged in that moment. A bond stronger than steel. The shadows might whisper. The aliens might plot. But a human promise had brought her back, and nothing could break it. The soldier could feel it in his bones. Her awakening had shaken the ship. The alien crew was restless. The walls seemed to hum louder and the shadows lingered longer. Something powerful had been set in motion the moment her eyes opened. He stayed close to her side, protecting her, but deep inside he knew it was not enough. He needed answers. He needed to know why. The aliens had wanted her dead. The girl lay weak on the bed, her eyes half open. Her voice was faint, but she whispered, Why, me? The soldier brushed a strand of hair from her face and whispered back, I don't know yet, but I will find out. I promise. His promises were not empty words. They were chains of steel, binding him to his duty. He rose from the chair, his hand tightening on his weapon, his eyes hardened. He had saved her life once, but to protect her future, he had to uncover the truth. He left the bay quietly, the door sliding shut behind him. The corridors were dark, the lights flickering with a strange rhythm as though the ship itself disapproved of his mission. The shadows moved at the edges of his vision, stretching along the walls. He ignored them, pushing forward. His boots struck the floor with steady determination. He knew where he had to go, the restricted archives at the heart of the ship, a place forbidden to humans, a place where secrets were buried. He reached the door, its surface glowing with alien symbols. He touched it, and the symbols pulsed, rejecting him. A voice echoed from the wall itself. Unauthorized, leave now. He gritted his teeth. Not a chance. His hands worked quickly, connecting wires, forcing circuits open. He was no engineer, but human stubbornness often replaced skill. The door sparked, hissed, and finally slid open with a reluctant groan. Inside the archive, the air was cold. Rows of glowing tablets floated in suspension. Each tablet carried records, knowledge, history. The soldier moved carefully, scanning each one until he found her name. His heart raced as he pulled the tablet closer. The screen flared with light, and alien words filled the air. He struggled to read, but fragments became clear, enough to turn his blood to ice. The girl was not just a patient, not just another human test subject. She carried something unique inside her blood, something the aliens feared. Her cells were changing, evolving, adapting to alien technology itself. Her body had begun to resist their control. Her survival meant a future where humanity could no longer be enslaved. She was hope, living hope, and that was why they wanted her dead. The soldier's breath came heavy. His eyes burned with fury. They had lied. They had abandoned her not because they failed, but because they were afraid. He clenched the tablet in his fist, whispering, "So that's the truth." His jaw tightened. "They fear her because she carries the strength of us all." Suddenly, a whisper rose behind him, sharp and cold. "You should not be here." He spun around, weapon raised. A tall alien stood in the shadows, its glowing eyes fixed on him. It wore robes of authority, different from the others. "You dig where you do not belong," the alien said, its voice calm but full of menace. "Leave the girl, or you will doom your kind." The soldier's voice thundered in return. "You left her to die. You feared her, but she lives, and she will keep living." The alien's face twisted. "You do not understand, human. She is dangerous. Her blood is fire, uncontrolled. If she lives, she could destroy not just us, but you as well." The soldier shook his head. "No, you fear her because she carries freedom, because she cannot be chained." His words echoed through the chamber. The alien's eyes narrowed. "Your hope blinds you. Your loyalty is madness." But the soldier's fire only grew. "Call it madness if you want, but it is human madness, the kind that changes history." The alien hissed and vanished into the shadows, leaving only silence. The soldier turned back to the tablet. He memorized every detail, every truth. Then, he smashed the tablet against the floor, shattering the glowing crystal. No one else would erase this truth, not while he lived. He returned to the medical bay, his mind burning with fury and determination. The girl looked at him with weak eyes. "You found something," she whispered. He sat beside her, gripping her hand gently. "Yes. I know now why they fear you, too. It's your blood. It holds something powerful, something they cannot control." Her eyes widened slightly, fear mixing with confusion. "Am I dangerous?" she asked. The soldier leaned closer, his voice steady. "No, you are not dangerous. You are hope. They fear you because you carry the future of humanity in your veins." Tears filled her eyes. "They left me to die." "Because of this?" He nodded. "Yes, but they failed. You lived, and now nothing can erase that." He squeezed her hand tighter, his voice low but full of fire. "Listen to me. You are not alone anymore. Whatever power you carry, whatever danger they see, I will protect you. I will stand against them. I will stand against the ship itself if I must." Her weak fingers curled around his hand, a fragile grip but filled with trust. The shadows stirred along the walls, the lights flickered angrily. The ship itself seemed to roar in silence, but the soldier did not fear. He had uncovered the truth, and with truth came strength. He looked into her fragile eyes and whispered his vow. "They wanted you gone, but now you are the reason I will fight to the end. You are the hidden truth they could not bury. You are humanity's hope." The soldier sat in the dim glow of the medical bay, his hand locked firmly around the girl's. He could still feel the warmth in her fragile grip, a warmth that told him she was alive, not just surviving but fighting. The truth he had uncovered burned inside his chest. Her blood was more than life, it was power, a power the aliens feared, and now he understood why they had abandoned her. They had wanted hope itself to die, but hope did not die. It had opened its eyes. It had spoken. It had smiled weakly at the sound of his voice. The girl was no longer just a patient, no longer just a victim. She was the spark that could change everything, and he was the shield that would keep that spark alive. The silence of the bay shattered when the alarms blared, red lights flashing across the walls. The soldier jumped to his feet, weapon ready. The girl gasped, her weak body trembling. "They are coming," she whispered. Her words proved true. As the door slid open and armed alien guards flooded in, their glowing weapons aimed directly at the bed. "Step aside, human," one of them commanded coldly. "This ends now. She must not live." The soldier moved in front of her, his body a wall of flesh and armor. His voice was thunder. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The guards advanced, their footsteps heavy, the air charged with deadly energy. The girl's weak voice rose again. "Don't. Fight them all you can't." But the soldier only shook his head. "I made a promise, and I will never break it." He opened fire, the small human weapon spitting bullets against their armor. Sparks flew, shadows leapt across the walls. The guards staggered, surprised by his ferocity, though their armor held strong. They fired back, blasts of searing light crashing into the walls. The soldier dove to protect her, the energy burning across his armor. Pain surged through his body, but he did not stop. He fought like a man possessed. Every strike fueled not by survival but by loyalty. Each second he bought was another second she lived. The girl cried out, "Stop, please, you'll die." But he did not listen. His fire burned too bright. The guards closed in, ready to end it. But then something happened. The machines beside her bed flared with energy, the blue vial pulsing like a living heart. Her eyes glowed faintly, her weak body shivering as her blood awakened, a wave of unseen force burst outward, knocking the guards back against the walls. Their weapons fell, their bodies trembling. The soldier froze, staring at her in awe. Her voice, though still weak, carried new strength. I don't want to die, I want to live." The energy grew stronger, spreading like fire through the room. The guards struggled to rise, their glowing eyes wide with fear. "It begins," one of them whispered. "The change." The soldier stood, at her side, stunned but unafraid. He understood now. Her blood was not a curse, it was a gift. Humanity had always adapted, always survived, and now she carried that truth within her veins. The girl looked at him, fear and confusion mixing in. Her gaze, "What's happening to me?" she asked. His voice was steady. "You are becoming more than they ever wanted. You are becoming what they feared, hope that cannot be killed." Her tears glistened. "But if they fear me, won't they hunt us forever?" He tightened his grip on her hand. "Then let them hunt. We will keep fighting." Together they rose, the soldier supporting her fragile frame. The alarms still blared, the ship trembling as if in protest. The corridors outside filled with chaos, shouts of alien, voices echoing. Yet they walked forward step by step through fire and fear. The shadows returned, crawling along the walls, whispering, "She must not live." But the girl, her voice trembling, whispered back, "I will live." And the shadows recoiled. The soldier led her toward the escape hangar. Every corner they turned brought more resistance, guards, traps, alarms. But with each step, her power grew stronger. Strange light sparked from her hands, shielding them, bending the enemy's weapons away. She stumbled often, but each time he caught her, his words steady. "Keep moving. You are stronger than you know." At last they reached the hangar. Ships, lined in rows, guarded by towering machines. The soldier's heart pounded. They had come so far, but the hardest step remained. The girl leaned against him, whispering, "We can't win against all this." He looked down at her, his eyes fierce. "We don't need to win, we just need to escape. We just need to show them hope cannot be destroyed." They sprinted to a small craft, alarms screaming louder, guards swarmed, shadows thickened, the ship itself shaking with fury. The soldier fought with every ounce of his strength, his weapon blazing, his fists striking. His body took blow after blow, but he never let her fall. She climbed into the craft, her eyes glowing brighter. "Hurry!" she cried. He leapt inside as alien fire rained around them. The engines roared to life, the craft shaking under the force. The hangar doors tried to close, but her power surged once more. The metal screamed and bent apart, opening a path to the stars. With a thunderous blast, the craft shot forward, leaving the alien ship behind. The stars stretched wide before them, endless and free. The soldier collapsed into the seat, bleeding but alive. The girl sat beside him, her breathing steady, her eyes shining with strange new light. He looked at her, his voice soft but proud. "You were left to die, but you became hope, and because of you, humanity will rise again." She reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. "Not because of me," she whispered, "because one human never gave up." And together, against the stars, they carried hope forward. A promise unbroken, a future reborn.